One day, I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine. Goodbye, Susan. Goodbye, my dear.
There was a time where this moment and countless others from the early years of Doctor Who were thought to have been missing forever. And now, only some of them are missing. Doctor Who is incomplete. Like a lot of other British shows from the mid-20th century, a lot of the episodes are either missing, destroyed, or in the hands of private collectors. Nowadays, this is impossible to imagine happening. Imagine what would happen if Breaking Bad, Star Wars, or any other popular series was only ever shown once, and then every copy was destroyed.
Please, come on! Come on!
It wasn't out of malice that they destroyed these episodes or threw them away. And that doesn't mean that they're all gone. Far from it, in fact. Of the 97 episodes that are currently missing, only 49 have yet to be reimagined. And this is thanks to the dedication and consideration of Doctor Who fans all across the world. Some episodes survive in their original 2-inch videotape format. However, they're few and far between. See, in the 1960s, videotape was pretty expensive, but it was also easily wipeable. So, in order to save on cost, what they would do is they would take a copy on 16mm film print, and that's what they would send overseas. And after a while, they would wipe the videotape. The film prints were made by telerecording, which is just a fancy way of saying you take a camera and you put it in front of a screen. It was well thought out, they had rigs, but that's the gist of it. This does mean as long as an episode was sent overseas, there remains a 16mm film print. Sometimes upwards of 16 if you're Marco Polo. But sometimes they're all missing, if you're Marco Polo. Now luckily, we do have audio from every single episode. This is thanks to a lot of people that used to just put a microphone up to a TV. There was one guy who did something a little weirder. A guy named Graham Strong would literally plug his audio recorder into his television, making the tape live, but getting really high quality recordings.
Why, Doctor? Surely they've invaded us.
Oh, no, it goes much deeper than that. You see, man to them is just a work machine, an insignificant specimen that is not worth invading, absolutely useless. It doesn't matter to them whether you live or die.
Yeah, that's true enough.
Another important piece of these missing episode reconstructions is the visual components. Because if an episode is missing, how do we know what it looks like? Well, we know what it looks like because of a guy named John Cura. John Cura was a freelance photographer in Britain in the 60s, and actors, directors, and producers could hire him to take telesnaps of episodes, which just means putting your camera in front of your TV. And he was pretty successful in this. Thanks to his efforts, every single missing episode we have a visual component for. On top of the telesnaps, some of these serials have on-set photos that were taken, and some of them are even in color. For example, Marco Polo, all 7 episodes are missing from this serial, but there are tons of beautiful on-set photos in gorgeous color that can really help make a reconstruction kind of come to life. So combine the telesnaps from John Cura, the audio recordings from Graham Strong, and some on-set photos, you're able to create reconstructions. Reconstructions look a little bit like this.
It's a lot of repeated frames, a lot of sliding text boxes on the bottom. They help to explain what's actually happening in the scene because usually characters aren't loudly pronouncing what they're actually doing. It's just happening in the involved. It's not a perfect way to reconstruct it, but it helps breathe life into these recordings.
One of the ways Doctor Who is unique compared to other sci-fi shows is in how they approach their expanded media, specifically how much they've done in audio. A whole company called Big Finish was basically founded on telling audio dramas and audiobooks set in the Doctor Who world. And they've been pretty successful for about 20 years. They have hundreds and hundreds of audio plays and audio books about Doctor Who, and they've even retold some of these lost stories in that format. Starting in 2013, Doctor Who started rebuilding its missing episodes using animation. Now, these animations tend to vary in their style and their quality depending on who's making them. Sometimes they're 2D animated, sometimes they're 3D animated. One time it looked terrible, and they quickly abandoned doing it that way. Most of the time they are in their classic 4:3 aspect ratio, but more recently they've been playing around with doing it in a new 16:9 quality and changing it from black and white to color. I don't like it, let's switch back. There we go. And even then, there's one more example of how these episodes can be reimagined. Mission to the Unknown was a single aperitif episode to a longer 12-part serial that was coming up. And with that being said, it doesn't actually have anything to do with the main characters of Doctor Who. It's about a group of astronauts on a planet finding out about a Dalek plot and sending out a message. It's incredibly simple, it's incredibly small, and it's incredibly destroyed. However, thanks to the efforts of the University of Central Lancaster, the episode has been 100% fully recreated. Made in the modern age, but made with all the creative decisions of a 1960s Doctor Who episode. The fact that this was put together mostly by a bunch of fans and students is remarkable. You can watch it on YouTube, right here. I really recommend it, it's honestly impressive. It really is a travesty that so many of these episodes are still missing, and probably will always be missing. But sometimes the stories of how they've been recreated are more interesting than the stories themselves. If the web planet was missing, would anybody care? Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Doctor Who YouTube channel.